everybody, how you guys doing? Uh, tonight I'll be tonight I'll be continuing on Easel in depth. Okay, so I'm just gonna wait till a couple minutes here. Wait till 7 o'clock. Wait till everybody signs in and everything. So just give them a couple minutes. Like I said, I'm trying to keep these videos to 1 hour now, and last night 1 hour didn't cut it. So, and I really want you people to understand the cool things about the easel drawing area and what you can do there. And I mean, it's a lot more powerful than most people give it credit for. And the thing that gets me is that people, it's kind of people's nature. If they don't know something, they're afraid to click on it. And so I'm going to show you the different options you have here, and what they do and how to use them and stuff like that. Um, like I said, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff on here that I'm sure you've never even tried because you didn't know what it was, or didn't you were afraid of it. Okay, so I'm gonna pop all these scary stuff and make it easy for you. So just a couple more minutes here, and we'll get started. Uh, I also have a group on Facebook. If for the people that don't know, it's called Paul's CNC, 3D printers and cool digital gadgets. And it's a really cool group. Let me tell you, it's a group of people, over 2,000 members, that are CNC enthusiasts. Put it that way. We have CNC routers, CNC carving machines, CNC lasers, 3D printers. I can just show you here. Here's my CNC carving machine. Okay, and I have upgraded it with a big spindle. I can just show you. This here is the original spindle that came with it. Okay, so that there's a bad boy. That thing will. As a matter of fact, I was just going to try doing some aluminum. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun to see how it works. All right, let's get the show on the road here. And try to get you in as close as possible so you can see as much as possible. All right. So what I was talking about last night, I was talking about my 0 point. And as I mentioned before, that the 0 point, okay, let me move this up here a little bit. I'm just going to recap real quick from last night. This 0 point here, wait a minute, let me just move it over a little bit. There. This 0 point here, okay, right down here. And you have, this is your X axis, and this is your Y axis, okay? This 0 point here will never change. This is your 0 point. This is your 0 point, okay? So everything is working from this 0 point. And right now, as it is right now, if you look at your preview, okay, move it over here, just a second here. All right, now, looking at the preview, this is my 0 point down here, okay? This is going to be the 0 point. As far as we're talking right now, the bottom left-hand corner of your workpiece is your 0 point. And no matter where I move this bear, I'm moving it away from the 0 point. And this 0 point here, let me show you here. Move this over a little bit. This relationship here, from this 0 point to here, is going to be exactly the same from the corner of your piece of wood to your bear. Okay? Now, let's just say that you have a mark. You make a mark on your piece of wood right here. Right here. And that's where you want your bear. But you don't want to have to keep moving it until it gets on that. You want it perfect. You want it exact. So how much more exact can you be then by putting on your position? This is position in relationship to your 0 point. Always. So, and what I have done now is I have said use the center part of my object, the square that goes around it. I'm using the center point of that. So it'll be right about here. Okay? And I have that marked off. Now it's telling me right now that from this center point down to my 0 point is 65.2 millimeters in X. Oh, excuse me. And 58.5 millimeters in Y. So 65.2 millimeters in X. If I go down here to X, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 5.2, and I come right up and see right here, look at that, right in the center, okay? That's the same with Y, 58.5, okay? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, so it'll be right about here and come across, and guess what? That's the center of our bear. That's the center in relationship to your 0 point. But we can also use this to move our bear, to position him exactly where we want it. Now watch this. I'm going to change X to 0 now. I have this in the center. I'm going to change this to 0 now. And I hit enter, let me see, 0, and I got to put a space in between, okay? And I hit enter. Boom. All right, so that was X. And you see here, X is 0 right there, and it goes right up through the center of the bear. Now we want to move Y, the 0 here, down here. We want that to be right here. So now we're going to move Y to 0. And now we have our 0 point dead center in our bear. So remember over here, I told you that we had a dot right here. Let's just say a dot right there. Okay. So now that's all you got to do is when you're going to run this program, when you're going to set your 0 point, you don't set your 0 point down here. You set your 0 point. This is your 0 point right here, dead center in your bear. So now wherever you put your tool down on your piece of wood, that's going to be the exact center of your bear. And as I also mentioned yesterday, this drawing area, it is a little deceiving. This white area here, it continues down below 0 point. And it continues over to the left beyond 0 point. The only difference is The numbers here above the 0 point are positive, and the numbers below are negative. And the same thing here. The numbers here are positive. Once it gets to 0, it goes negative. 0, it goes negative 10, negative 20, negative 30, and so forth. So this whole thing, this whole drawing, it is all piece of one. Okay? It's only that Easel only shows you the positive numbers. Now, is this the way this looks here? Is it going to affect our carving? Absolutely not. Now, in the drawing area, that's the same thing I told you in the drawing area. This drawing area will only show down in the bottom left-hand corner. That's all it will show. It will only show what the white area has here, okay, in your drawing area. But, like I said, it doesn't stop us. Excuse me. It does not stop us from carving it, okay? Now, I'm going to speed it up here a little bit, and we're going to just run a simulation here. You see there? It doesn't care. It doesn't care that there's nothing there. It has a G code now. It's running G code now. It does not care where it is at. Okay? So, this is the way you can move your objects and place them exactly where you want them. Okay? Enough about 0 point. That's how, okay, now, so this is how it looks. All right? And like I said, this here 0 point, it all depends on where you put your tool down on your piece of wood. You determine your 0 point on your machine. Easel determines your 0 point on your screen. But you manipulate your drawing to accommodate your 0 point where you want it, not where it wants it. Okay? So, on to bigger and better things. Let me move this over because we're not going to need this for now. And I'm going to punch this up once, and I'm going to move this bear up here because we're going to use him. Want to get best drawing area possible. All right, now one thing, when you import things, sometimes the objects are broken up into parts. For example, if I'm going to move this bear and I just grab his arm right here, I click on it. Look what I just did. I took him apart because it was not one single object. It was 3 individual objects. Okay? There's 1, there's 2, 3, there's 4 individual objects, actually. Okay? Now, remember what I told you? If you ever screw up, you can always undo it. Undo, move. Boom. I screw up. I grab it. I pull it off. Oh, no. I shouldn't have done that. Edit. Undo, move. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you a little trick here. A lot of people don't know it. Right now, if I've clicked on the hand of the bear, and it only highlights this area here, not the nose and not the feet. Now, there is a way you can highlight several things at one time. And that's very simple. That's all you do is hold the shift key down. Watch. When I hold the shift key down, the nose is now selected. The foot is now selected and the other foot is now selected. So now if I grab the bear and pull him over, everything's coming with it. Now, let's try something. If you bring in an object that is made up of several different objects, and you don't want it to be in several objects, you want all in one, okay? The first thing you have to do is highlight all parts of it. Okay, so everything is highlighted here. Now I go to edit and I come all the way next to the bottom one and I say combine. Now let's see if it did. Yep. Now it's all one unit. So that's how you do it. Now see, it's not even here anymore because you can't combine something that's already combined. So it's not even there. Okay. Now I'm going to show you something else. If there is let's just say that you do have an object that is all one piece like this here. Okay. But let's just say you want to take away the eyes. That means you have to break it apart. In other words, you explode it. Okay. And where do we have an exploder? Over here. I'm sorry. Nope. In here. The app library. All right. These here are really, really cool things. I've tried most of them and they work and they're a lot of fun and they're very cool. Let me see here. Now there is one down here. Here's one here, exploder. Okay, and here we go. Explode shapes to their components and optionally change horizontal spacing. Okay. Okay, so now let's see here. I'm going to just highlight this one and delete it. Let's see here. Oh, well, it separated those two. So let's try another one. It didn't explode everything to be able to change the eyes. So the first thing I want to do is go to edit and undo move. So I keep my bear, okay? And I go to edit. Nope, I'm just going to select what I want to explode. Now I'm going to go back in here and there's another one I used. Let's see here. I used this one here, exploder. But now since it didn't work all the way and did not explode everything, here we go, shape exploder. Let's try this one. Now see this one here, for some reason it only took one ear and the nose. So I'll say import. And look what it did. It took away stuff. So I'll say edit, undo import from shape exploder. So this one here, let me see here. This one here does not have break apart. Okay. So we have tried both exploders. We can try that first one again and see if it will explode the second part. Let's try that. All right. And then import. There we go. Now it looks like it did it, I think. Nope, it sure didn't. It did not do it. So, the thing is, is that sometimes it will do it, sometimes it won't. And it's nothing that I've done wrong. It's the way that the whole drawing was built up. Okay? So sometimes you have to just bite the dust and accept that you can't do anything with it. Okay? All right. So I'm going to take away our bear. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about other just simple objects. I'm going to bring out a square. Just a second here. Okay, a square, a circle. Okay, there's our circle. And star. They always bring them to the same place, so it kind of stacks them. That's why it's hard. It's hard to see for you guys. All right. So if you look at this is our whole work area right here. Okay. This is our whole piece of wood. This my piece of wood goes beyond my table here. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to change it. I'm just going to change this to the size of my machine. 300 by 180 millimeters, 30 by 80. Okay, 300 millimeters by 180 millimeters, 30, 18. 30 centimeters by 18 centimeters. That's the size of your machine, 30, 18. Okay. Now, when you have several objects in here, and I'm going to take this one here, and I'm going to change it for a second here to outside shape path, and I'm going to make it bigger. Okay, now I'm going to make a carving here with just with these four objects, and I have a framework here. All right. Now you see here, as long as I highlight one object, nothing happens. Now, when I highlight two objects, okay, how do I do that? I have one highlighted. If I click on another one, the other one disappears. So how do I do it? I just told you a little while ago. You hold your shift key down and click on it. Now it's these two. Now it's these three. Now it's these four. Okay? So I'm just going to click away. And the only thing I want to click is the outside shape here and the square. Did you notice something? Watch what happens when I click the square off. You notice anything that comes up when I click on this? Boom. Okay? It's this here. Anybody know what this is? This here is used for positioning. Right here, this one here means align my object to the left. You see here, my object is the dark thing, and then my workpiece is the white piece, and it's moving it to the left. So watch. Boom. All right. Now, I can center it. Now it's in the center. This is all horizontally here. The first three are horizontally. I can align it to the right. I can align it back over to the left. Now the second three are vertically. So align to the bottom, align to the middle, and align to the top. So if I wanted to put this square, oops, there we go. Now see, there we go. I didn't want to move everything there, so I say edit, undo, move, boom. So I'm going to unhighlight that. I'm going to move this down here. And I'm going to move this here and this over here. Okay. So now I highlight my square and I hold my shift key down and I highlight my outer perimeter. It's only the outer perimeter and the squares are highlighted. So if I wanted to put my square dead center in the middle here, then I would take the horizontal one and I would say put it in the center. And then I'd go here to the vertical one that says center and I said put it in the center there. Heck, it can't get much easier than that. Now let's say that I'm gonna work with my triangle. So I hold my shift key down and I click on the square, which unhighlights it. Now it's only the frame that's highlighted. So I hold my shift key down again and I click on my triangle. And let's just say I wanted my triangle right over up against the left hand edge in the middle. Okay. So all the way to left hand edge, I go to my horizontal ones. I hit left. Boom. Touching the left there. Then I go to the vertical, hit center. There, I just centered it. Right there where we wanted it. Now, I'm going to hold my shift key and unselect that one. And I'm going to select the circle now. Now I can work with my circle. And I don't want it over at the left. And I don't want it in the middle. So I'll put this one over in the right. And vertically, I can put it at the top. Nope. I can put it in the center. Nah, it's kind of boring. So I'll put it down in the bottom corner. And see how cool that is? Now watch this. Right now, I'm just going to highlight, unselect everything. I'm going to select the star and make it bigger. Okay. So now I hold my shift key down and I highlight the outer perimeter again. And we're going to move our star now. So I'll say I want it up to the top vertically because I don't want it in the center and I don't want it down at the bottom. So I'm going to put it at the top. And then horizontally, where do I want it? Let me see. I don't really want it there. And I don't really want it over at the left side. So let's try putting it in the middle. Now, what I can do is I can just make it a little wee bit smaller. Okay. So now I highlight my outer perimeter again and I highlight my star. And I say go to the center, dead center. And that's the shape you get right there. Now, let me see here. But now, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to, oops, see? There I did. I grabbed it and moved it, and I didn't want to do that. So undo move. So right now, this is what I have, and this is what it looks like. And the reason it looks like this is because this one here is cutting deeper, it's darker, and this one is cutting shallower. And you can see that the star is behind the square. You see here? See there? How it's behind, metaphorically, it is behind the square. But since the square is being cut deeper, you see here, it looks like the square is going below the star, which it is, but still the star is behind it. Now we're going to talk about forwards and backwards, okay? And we're going to change depths of things here, okay? And I'm going to put that one at 1 millimeter. I'm going to put this one at 3 millimeters. I'm going to put this one at 6 millimeters. And I'm going to put this one at 7 millimeters. Okay? Now, we're just going to work with these two right now, okay? So we're just going to work with the star and the square. So I'm going to highlight the star, and I'm going to hold my shift key down, and I'm going to highlight my square. All right, since these are highlighted, I click on edit. Now down here these are the important ones here. Now, you have to understand what they each mean. Send backwards. Send backwards means send it back one step. If you have multiple layers of things, if you have several things stacked on top of each other, you're only going to move it by using send backwards. You're going to send it back one layer. That's all. You're only going to move it behind the object it's in front of. Okay? Now, send to back. That will send it all the way to the back, to the rear of all of the whatever's stacked on each other. You have to think of this as being stacked. Okay? So that was send backwards is one step. Send to back goes all the way back. Bring forward. Bring forward is the opposite motion, one step at a time, one layer at a time. And then you have bring to front. Okay? So now we're going to play with this, and I'm going to show you. Let me see now. This star here, I highlight it, and I can say here, I want to bring it forward. I want to bring it just forward of the box. Now look over here when I click on it. And you see what? Guess what? It didn't do it. I'm not doing anything wrong. The program is not doing anything wrong. Some objects don't want to go forward. Some don't want to go back. Okay, so we tried moving. We'll try it again. The star is the only thing that we're highlighting. Okay, and I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to say bring forward. Now see, there it did it. So sometimes you have to do it twice. Okay, now you see the difference here? Now the star is forward of the square. And I can make the star, watch this, I'll show you. I'll make the star deeper than than the square, and you can see the results. That's what it looks like. The star is deeper than the square, but the square is behind the star because you can see the star in front of it. If I take the square that's highlighted now and I say edit and I say bring forward, there you go. I just brought it forward. Now, if I bring this circle for the heck of it over here, you see what it's doing? Guess what? It is behind the star, which is behind the square. You see? Now, you can see it here in the drawing. The star, the square is dominant. I can see the entire square here. So the star is behind the square, and the star is dominant, and the square is dominant over the circle. So the circle is behind the star and behind the square. Now, let's try moving the circle one layer up. In other words, let's try to get the circle between the star and the square. So we highlight the circle and we go to edit and we say bring forward. And you see, nothing happened. We go to edit and we say bring forward. Sometimes you have to tell it, yes, I do want to bring it forward. Okay? Now, look at this. You can see this part of the star because it's all the way in the back. And then you can see most of the circle, 3/4 of the circle, because the circle is only behind the square. Okay? Now, let's bring another one in. Oh, now look at that. You see there? It's probably also behind, yeah, it's behind the star too. You can see there. It's behind everything. All right. So, you see here what it looks like. You see the star is predominant because it's in front of the triangle. Here. You see that? Okay. Now I'm going to go to edit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it forward one time. Now, look at this. Now I can see my triangle here in front of the star, but yet it's still behind. It's still behind the circle and still behind the square. So watch, I'm going to bring it forward one more time. Bring it forward. And it didn't do anything, so I got to do it again. Bring it forward. There. And now it did do it. I'm sorry. It was my bad. Send back one. Now see, it sent all the way back. Okay, so I'm going to bring it forward. Bring forward. Didn't happen. Bring forward. There. Now I brought it forward from all the way back. I brought it forward of the star, and it's still behind the circle, and it's still behind the square. Now I'm going to say bring it forward again. And now it's in front of the star and it's in front of the circle, but it's still behind the square. And if I go to bring it forward one more time, it will bring it up in front of the square. See? Now I can just click anywhere away, and I can select my circle, and I can say send backwards. Now you can see it's behind the circle. I sent it one layer. It was between the circle was between the star and the square. Now I just sent it one layer back. And every time I do this, you see how it looks different here. So this is how you get the different operations that you want. Okay, and now I'm going to show you something else. I'm going to just make this a little bit smaller right now. And so we're just going to say that's really what we want, but we want to do this. We want since we highlighted the outline, we want to do a clear out a pocket on that. And we want to go deep, kind of like 8 millimeters deep, 6 or 6.5, 7. Let's say I'll go down here. I'll just put 8 in here. 8 millimeters. Okay. And now we have a pocket there. And so now I can click on the star, and I can bring that height up. And I'm looking at my preview the whole time till I see, oh, wow, that looks really cool. Okay, so I bring my star up to there. Now I click on my square. I don't want the square cut out at all. Okay, but I think this triangle should come down a little bit like that. And I think it should go behind the everything or the square. So I'm going to say go backwards or send backwards. There we go. Now it's behind the square in front of the star, and the circle is all the way at the back. Now I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to bring that to a depth of 2 millimeters because I'm going to do something else here now. I'm going to zoom in on this here, and I'm going to bring in some text. Okay, and we'll make it smaller. And make it smaller. Click away, and then make it a little bit smaller. Then I can grab some more fonts here, and I'll just do this one, and I'll say, and I'm going to grab this and make it smaller. Okay, now, right there, I'm going to show you another little trick. Now, instead of trying to use my mouse I'm going to use my keyboard arrow keys. And right there, by using these, I can go exactly horizontal, okay? Or I can go exactly vertical. So these arrow keys are really, really good for highlighting. I mean, for moving your objects and getting them exactly lined up the way you want. Okay? So now I'm going to click on this. I'm going to say that was 0. No, I'm going to bring my letters up instead. Okay? And I got that at 4. And I'm going to put this at 0. And I'm going to put this at 0. Now, do you see what I've done here now? I brought my name. I'm going to show you. Oops. See? I just did my name in raised letters. And you see here, you see I'm missing letters. Easel is trying to tell me, hey, Paul, I can't cut out this tiny little thing here, this little area here, with a 1.5 millimeter tool. So then what I'm going to do here is, let's say I'm going to run this program. I'm going to run this program, okay? But obviously that is unacceptable. So let's do a 2-tool cut. There ain't nothing simpler than a 2-tool cut. And you're going to see the results here right away. Watch. I'm going to say my bit. That bit is always your roughing tool. And I'm going to say I'm going to use an 1/8 of an inch roughing tool. Now you see here, it's even worse. It doesn't cut out anything here. Okay, now I have to add my second tool. So I hit the plus sign next to it. And I go down, I always go down here to other. I use the other because that's the easiest. I like doing it that way. And I'm going to put in a 0.5 millimeter tool. Okay, let me see, 0.8. Let's see if a 0.8 will do it. Almost. You see here, it still will not cut it. You see there, and here, and here, and here. Okay, so I have to go smaller. Let's try a 0.5. Uh, you see there's still a hair there. And you see here, there's very, very tiny line there. So in actuality, I can actually cut that out later on with a saw if I want. And I can also get rid of this if I want. But now this is what I have now. Pretty cool, huh? And let me move it over here a little bit. Let me move this window over a little bit. And just by changing where you move things, you look at your preview and see, is that what I want? See, I'll move this back. I'll take the star and send it all the way back. And guess what? You know why it disappeared? Because this framework is an object. Now I sent my star all the way behind everything. So if I go to undo send to back, now watch this. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to put that to 0. And let's see what happens. Edit, send backward, send to back. See that? It won't even carve it out. It just disappeared. I'll do edit, undo, send back. There's my star. And I'm going to bring that down a little bit. Okay. And I can, let's see, bring it forward. Let me see if I can bring it forward. There we go. Now it's in front of the star is in front of the circle and the triangle, but behind Paul's CNC. I can bring it up one more. Watch. Edit. Bring forward. Now, you see here, my name is actually on the star. Now, if I wanted to, I could highlight this, use my keyboard use my arrow keys. There. And then I click on this. And I bring this up. And then I just squish it a little bit. And I move it over and center it. There we go. And now I can move this square out a little bit, and I can move this circle up a little bit, and I can move this triangle over a little bit. And here's what you get. Guess what? You have just learned layering. This is layering. This is layering. This is how to do different layers. I mean, look how cool this is. Look at that. All those different layers. Okay? This is how you, and it's this simple. It is this simple. Okay? So it's not, I mean, this easel is not difficult to learn. You just need to learn the ins and outs of everything over here. Everything. Everything over here, you need to learn all of these here. And if you're the type of person that, I mean, you click on this and you say, oh, well, I don't know what this is, or I don't know what that is, so I'm not going to click on it. You're going to miss the boat. You are going to miss the boat. I'll tell you that. When you're learning these programs, you have to click on everything. If you do not click on absolutely everything, you are going to miss out. You're going to lose out. That's like right here, when in this area here, okay? In this area right here, when your machine starts carving, obviously you do not need a carve button because it's already carving. And you don't need a jog button because it's already moving. So the jog button turns into your emergency stop button. And right next to it will be two parallel bars that mean pause, just like an old cassette player. And then to the left of that, guess what there is there? You're going to get a thing up here in great big letters. It's going to say feed override. Okay? That feed override is The most important adjustment you have from the time your tool touches the material, you should be on that feed override for at least the first hour. Seriously, playing with it. Playing with it. I just showed you, okay, I showed you a little, just real quick material. I set that up to the size of my table. I'm using an 1/8" roughing tool and a 1/2" or 0.5 mm detail tool. For 30/18s, I'm going to show you cut settings. First of all, we have two now. We have two here because one is for roughing. One is for the 1/8" tool. Roughing here. Detail. Okay? Now, why is detail in red? If you ever see a red exclamation mark there, do not even attempt to hit carve. Because if you have a 30/18, you can tear it up. And if you think I'm joking, look. Okay, we're going to get two sets of cut settings, one for the roughing tool and one for the detail tool. Now watch. Here's my two cut settings. Okay, automatic. When it is in automatic, I mean, everything in automatic is set up for the X-carve machine, not a 30/18. A 30/18 is a, a fifth of the size of a X-carve machine. So you cannot, I repeat, you cannot use automatic settings. Those settings will tear your machine up. In manual, for a 30/18, the numbers that you should have in here for your feed rate is 150 millimeters per minute. Your plunge rate, you can have that at 100 millimeters per minute. These are not drill bits, so they do not like to be driven directly into the wood. Okay? Now, these two numbers here and these two numbers, when I change them over here, never need to be changed again. As long as you still have the same original spindle and your machine is original, these are the original numbers that you should use and not change. And I'm going to explain to you why you're not going to change them. The only one that you really need to change here is your depth per pass. How deep your tool goes down every time it makes a pass. 0.3 millimeters is what I call the middle of the road number. That is for wood that would be medium density. For example, pine. You have other woods that are a lot softer, like basswood and balsa wood and stuff like that. Much softer. You can go a bit deeper. You might want to go 0.5 millimeter, 0.5 or 0.6 if you're doing balsa wood. You might want to even go up to 0.7 on balsa wood. But you get down to hard maple or purple heart, then you're going to be down to 0.1 millimeters. And this here is what determines your time. And this here is also what determines if you break a tool or not. Okay? Now this here is new. Spindle speed, RPMs. Okay? Then you can adjust RPMs if you know what you're doing. Okay? On a piece of wood. If this is wood, I would say go down to 6,000. 6,500. That's what I would set my RPMs for. This was the roughing tool. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the detail tool. I'm going to put it in manual and change it to the exact same numbers. But I want to show you. I want to show you the difference here. Look at the difference in this number. From 150, this is 762. And you should be running at 150. What do you think is going to happen when if you run this feed rate on your 3018? It won't be long and you won't have a 3018. That's what's going to happen, I'm telling you. Look at your plunge rate from 100. This here is 228 down to 100. Depth per pass from 0.7 to 0.3. Big difference. Okay? Big difference. And this here, these all need to be changed. Now, I'm only using, on my detail tool, I'm only using a 0.5 millimeter. That is not even as thick as this right here. It's not even as thick as that. Okay? So, a 0.5 millimeter tool. Oh, then I'll only be able to take 0.2. Oh, okay, I got to put it in manual. And 0.2 space millimeters. My plunge rate is still going to be 100. And my feed rate is going to be 150. Now, right now, I'm just going to tell you real quick why I selected these 150 feed rate. Very simple. What did I tell you? Once your machine starts carving, the carve button's going to be gone. This is going to be gone. Your jog window. Over here, you're going to have big letters. Feed override. And it's going to say feed rate 150 millimeters per minute. And guess what else there's there? There's a big plus sign and a big minus sign. So, what are they there for? Okay, if you have not been using this feed override, what you have been doing, you've been getting into your car, you started the engine, you put it into gear, and you put both feet flat on the floor. You are not driving with a brake or gas pedal. Your feed override is what is going to speed your times up. But you will never know how far to speed it up until you listen to your machine. Your machine is going to tell you when you hit the right feed rate. The chips coming off of your piece of wood are going to tell you if you have the right RPMs and the right feed rate. Okay, I'm gonna just tell you a little bit about. I'm gonna tell you a little bit here about cutting tools and feed rates. Okay, cutting tools and feed rates. A CNC machine, a 3D printer. I'm talking about CNC carving machine, a 3D printer, a CNC laser machine, and an old Browning black and white camera all have one major thing in common. And I I can reference every machine, carving machine, laser machine, 3D printing machine, every one of them I can relate directly to an old style Browning Kodak black and white camera. Because with a black and white camera, to get a perfect picture, guess what? You have to have the perfect exposure. In other words, with that camera, you have a certain amount of light and you have a certain amount of time. When those two, when the certain amount of light and a certain amount of time, you have them adjusted exactly where they're supposed to be, you get a perfect exposure. It's the correct combination of light and time to give that perfect exposure. If it's too much light, it gets overexposed and it turns real white, it turns real bright, okay? If it's if it's too short a time, I mean you can have a lot of light, but too short a time, it'd be too dark. Okay? So it's exposure. It's getting that perfect balance. Now, why do I bring that up with a CNC machine? Well, my CNC carving machine, I have feed rate and I have RPMs. Okay? Feed rate and RPMs. When I get the exact feed rate and RPMs together, the machine will produce beautiful, tiny little chips, not dust. If you're producing dust, you're ruining your machine and you're ruining your tools. If you are producing dust, fine dust, you're ruining your tools. You're dulling them. Okay? So you have to have the perfect exposure or the perfect combination of feed rate and RPMs. That's on my carving machine. On a laser machine, you have laser intensity. I mean, that's even closer to a camera, really, because you have the laser intensity and you have your exposure time, which is your feed rate. Okay? So if your feed rate is moving that laser beam really, really quick, there's a very, very short exposure time there, and it might not burn nothing. So there again, you have to have the correct amount of laser light power, and you have to have the correct amount of time feed rate. Okay? Well, you guys are, I'll tell you, if you're going to be a CNC specialist here when you're done with my videos, I'll tell you, this here, I'm gonna be doing them. I'm thinking about doing them maybe twice a week. So this here was a continuation from last night. Oh, and I'm not finished. I mean, I could actually call this one here continuation one, and then call the next one continuation two, because there's a lot to cover. I mean, and I know a lot of little tricks and stuff in here to help you out. So if you hang with me, I'll teach you CNC. And if you have any questions or anything, hit me up on Messenger. Okay. Well, listen, I have to say thank you very much for your participation. And with that, I will say adios and see you guys. I'll let you know. I'll let you know in the group, or we'll see. Have a good one. Bye.